Since the federal government has basically bribed the states with money to put in this Common Core, now can the states withhold money from districts who would opt out? If they want to opt out of Common Core, would they bribe the funds then? Would they bribe?
The state has made the contract with the federal government. So the state is on the hook for doing whatever the federal government wants. The local board, statutorily in Connecticut, has the authority to adopt curriculum, regardless of what contract the state signed with the federal government, or with any private company, or with anybody offering a grant. So there is no statutory basis. Remember, you look at the statute for the duties of the State Board of Ed. It does not say the State Board of Ed can compel the local school district to do anything. That's why they're doing it this way. So, can they withhold money? Well, that again depends, was it federal money? It depends on what the contracts say. Depends on, you have to look at, and that's what you should be asking for when you're asking the local board for any information. Did you local board sign any agreement with the state? Did you get, what is the money you're getting from the state? Are you getting any money from the federal government directly? If so, that's totally unconstitutional. Ask these questions and get that information, and then you will know some of the answers. But no, there is no statute that I am aware of that says the State Board of Education can punish you or compel you to do anything. They're there to assist the local board, to publish guides, to implement the interests of the state. You know, things like that are look under the duties of the State Board of Education for exactly what the duty is of the State Board of Ed. It's all spelled out there, and I don't see one thing that says the State Board can compel the local board to do anything.
Listen to what we're talking about. When we heard about the waivers, well, I testified against the waiver. Why did I testify against the waiver? I'm the testing guy. I teach you about testing at Central Connecticut State University. I teach you about the test. That's part of what I do. Why would I testify against the waivers that would say, it's because the assessment system we have is harmful. And while they were asking for a waiver, they weren't saying, free us from this harmful assessment system. They were saying, bring it on. Double down on it. That's what they were saying. And they said, oh, we won't be held accountable. The state won't be held accountable. They didn't say children won't be held accountable. They didn't say teachers won't be held accountable. They told teachers you'll be held accountable. The only ones not being held accountable are our policymakers. We got a DOE, a Department of Education. I don't know who they answer to. Do they get legislative approval? I mean, there are all kinds of, and if you wanted a grant that had anything to do with the Common Core, you better say, I love the Common Core. Please, let's feed the Common Core to children every day, because if you want a state or a federal grant and you dare to say, I want to investigate whether the Common Core is a worthy curriculum, you would be denied that money. Someone asked about activism. I'm the guy that walked 400 miles from New Britain, Connecticut to DC to protest the overuse of standardized tests. 2 weeks ago, I was in New York City at their rally to save our schools. Save our schools is the whole about. We say we inform, we educate, and we act. In October, we're talking about let's have a rally over outside the Department of Education. Let's bring the people there. Let's have students talk. Let's have parents talk. Let's bring people there. Let's have a rally and let's show our Department of Education a month before the election. Let's bring 1,000 people to office and say, you know what? We vote smart education. Because that's what I tell people now. I'm tired of the stupid education. I told you all about that in my stuff over there. I want smart education. I vote that education. I don't care about your party. I don't care about your affiliation. I don't care whether you're left or right. I want things that are good for kids, not harmful. So yeah, be an activist. Join up. Shout at the board meetings. Be nice at the board meetings. Inform people. But you know what? It's coming to the time that we need to take to the street, because we need to take back our schools. And we need to tell the Department of Education, you're not some rogue agency that any governor has to say, well, employ my friends, give out contracts. You're not that agency. You should answer to the people of this state, and you answer to the people of this state by answering to the legislature. And I don't see them answering to the legislature. Sorry.
The other point I wanted wanted to raise is that we have not been able to really address the money side, the expense, because it's really hard to come across cost analysis. And if we have any accountants, or you know of any accountants who could start being involved, we would really appreciate their help. Because well, my personal question is, if we do lose, if there's grant money that we've received, and if we do lose grant money, wouldn't we still be better off financially? I'm not even talking about what's better for our kids. If you want to just talk about dollars, wouldn't we still be ahead financially? Okay, I think we've got 5 more minutes.
Just on what you
Okay.
said, what can we learn as far as talking about best practices? What can we find out in regard to the accounting side from the other states that are going before us? Because there's a lot of other states that are ahead of us.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, that's something to think about.
Sure.
We worked with a group that did some homework on the cost question, and there are some articles online that try to put some bounds on the costs associated with Common Core. In round numbers, for the state of Connecticut, a back-of-the-envelope calculation suggests something on the order of $200 million, roughly. $200 million for Connecticut.
Is that an implementation,
In other
or is
words,
that?
that's the cost of testing, information technology costs, associated administrative costs. One of the parts that's a little unclear would be the supporting costs, ongoing operational costs, and how these impact on taxation in any given community is still an open
And who
question.
pays that?
Sorry?
Who pays this?
Well, ultimately, the deal was that the government was going to help in the beginning,
Right.
but then they were going to phase out, and then all the costs fall to the local districts, with, maybe some grants here and there from the federal government. But if you hunt around, there's some information out there. One quick anecdote was in Greenwich, the Board of Estimate and Taxation was presented with information concerning the cost for Common Core, and the parties from the school administration could not answer the questions. And I happen to know one of the people on the board, Leslie Tarkin, an excellent person there, and she was totally bamboozled and flummoxed. She had no way to get her hands around the cost to that school district for Common Core. So yes, there are open questions, and it can be all over the lot. Some school districts are already better off with the information technology side. Others have a higher wall to climb. It's I'm just going to say it's a problem. Yes, we don't know, but you can construct rational models, and you can get a reasonable estimate. You know how big the budget is, and if you look at past budgets, you can kind of compare some things. When I look at the budget for the State Department of Education, there were a lot of contradictory things in there. I remember that Stephen Pryor, the commissioner, had said something like $15 million for last year, at least within their 4 walls, what was associated with Common Core. So yeah, but you can put things together if you just reason it out like an analyst.
Okay, in closing, okay, I think that we need to close, but what I'd like to say is, you look around this room and know that right here, this is our base. This is more than enough. And that each one of you is uniquely qualified. You may not feel it or think it, but you care and you are more informed than most of the public. You are uniquely qualified and obligated to then inform others and to start moving forward with this. On one of the sheets outside, I provided some other information for you to follow up if you'd like. We have a Facebook group, which is an excellent source of information, including there's the Stop Common Core in Connecticut. Then there's also Stop Common Core in Connecticut Library, which has additional resources there. There's Stop Common Core in New Milford. I've listed them all there. Then also my personal email address is on there because I see each one of you as a teammate. And we are all on the same team here, and we are rooting for our children. I'd like to thank each and every one of you very sincerely on behalf of our panel Thank you very much for coming.